I just recently beat Killer 7, but it's going to take some time to edit all those videos, so here's something small while I edit the big shit. If you don't know what an emulator is, it's a piece of software that allows you to emulate your favorite hardware. In this scenario, it's video game consoles. Now emulators are a contentious topic mainly because of what comes with them. ROMs. To avoid boring you and or confusing you with a bunch of nerd speak, ROMs in this scenario is basically digital copies of games you would usually acquire physically through cartridges or discs. Let me start by saying owning an emulator isn't illegal. However, downloading and using ROMs are, which is kind of funky because if you have an emulator, you would want to use it, and not just leave it there to take up space. With that said, I don't believe ROMs are inherently bad. I grew up playing Game Boys, the PlayStation 2, Wii, Xbox 360, and the Xbox One by extension. Even though I've had all those consoles, there were a lot of games I missed out on, and I may not have the chance to play those games anymore because they aren't sold physically anymore or digitally. Then there's the games that are sold secondhand on different consoles. You could bring up that my problem would be solved if I bought a PS1, PS2, PSP, PS3, or any other old console I don't have anymore. But let me show you how much some of this shit would cost. Bear in mind, some of these consoles are sold without the controllers and memory cards because they were pre-owned. So by the end of it, you may end up spending the same amount of money it would cost back then buying all this other shit. I like games, I like them a lot, but to sit up there and spend upwards of $200 on some old shit would be downright irresponsible. Like I said before, if you can't find the games you want physically or digitally,
you're fucked.
And don't get me started on games that were only sold digitally. Back in the way back, there was a game called The Dishwasher Dead Samurai. It was received pretty well, and I wanted to do a video on the sequel, but it didn't feel right without playing the first game. So I said, ahem to him, this won't be a problem at all. I'll just buy it off Steam and call it good. Well, you can't, and since the Xbox 360 store was shut down in 2024, there's no fucking way I can actually play it. Unless I used a ROM. Now if you thought to yourself it was an Xbox Live Arcade game, of course you're not going to find it elsewhere. To that I say,
bullshit.
The sequel is on Steam, and if you want to talk about a different Xbox Live Arcade game, Dustin Elysian Tale is also on Steam. It's hit or miss whether or not a game you may have missed out on is on PC and or backwards compatible and still on the store. For digital games, more times than not, they won't have a physical release, so you're shit out of luck if they're not sold through conventional means anymore. Which is where the argument of video game preservation is the strongest. If you can't buy a game through conventional means, then what is the issue of playing video games through ROMs? We all know video game companies have a bad habit of shelving franchises, and let's be honest with ourselves, the chances of a reboot or a remake is slim to none, unless that video game had a very massive audience, and even still, it's not guaranteed. And if you'd like to take it out of the realm of digital games only, we can talk about big companies and publishers that have put out games before that you will most likely acquire through absurd prices on eBay or Amazon. Peace Walker was originally released on the PSP, but you can get it on Xbox 360 or PS3 if you got the HD collections. There was only a physical standalone copy in Japan, so if you wanted to play it without the HD collection, you better start learning Japanese. You could always get a PSP if you don't already have one, which will run you $79.99 if you want to get it from GameStop. Or you could risk it on eBay where it's much cheaper in some cases, but you never know what you're truly getting. Plus there's always the risk the fucker just takes your money and never gives you your shit, so, you know, there's always that. Let's say you're just buying the game. That's $29.99 at GameStop. Don't even touch eBay because the niggas upcharging the fuck out of it. $34.99 for the cartridge and the manual?
This is #1 bullshit.
Don't even look on Steam either because that shit's not there. So that's $79.99 for the PSP, plus the game being at its cheapest being $29.99, is $109.98 before taxes and shipping and handling. We're also not accounting for accessories like an SD card for memory and other shit, but let's stick with what we got right now. Now let's compare this to the PSP emulator that you can get for free, along with the ROM that you can also get with free, that's free and free, and there's no wait. It's a lot more convenient and a lot less expensive. The real risk is fucking up your PC or your laptop, so bear in mind, you can get a virus if you're not careful. If you wanted to play Mad World, the cheapest copy of the game I could find is on playerschoicevideogames.com, but I've been burned before trying to find deals, so you should exercise caution. GameStop has it for $14.99, and since I no longer have a Wii anymore, I'd have to buy one of those as well. A site I actually trust because I've got games from there before. BK Oldies has it for $69.99. $14.99 plus $69.99 is $84.98. All things considered, that's not actually bad. However, if we're comparing it to its emulator counterpart, it's free and free, plus it beats it out because of convenience as well. The hardest part you have to deal with is setting up the motion blur and controller with the emulator. However, that's optional. You can always use a keyboard or a gamepad and you'd be just fine. Just one more for the road. If you never got to play the Fable series and you didn't get to play it growing up, you'd either have to get an Xbox One or an Xbox 360. No one in their right mind is buying an Xbox One nowadays, so your best shot's getting an Xbox 360. An Xbox 360 from GameStop will run you about $99.99, and if you want every major game in the Fable series, all of them together is $34.97. $99.99 plus $34.97 equals $134.96. And at this point, you get the idea that both the emulator and ROM are both free and convenient. The point of all this math and talking was to shed light on how expensive gaming has gotten. Modern games from AAA studios can cost up to $70 to $80 fucking dollars. And I think most of us can agree that a lot of these games coming out right now are not worth that fucking price tag. Moreover, what about the games you can't find anywhere? Do I just hope and play this a high quality playthrough on YouTube, or listen to the words of others when I could easily get an emulator and a ROM to experience it myself? I could do the former for sure, but it wouldn't be anywhere good as playing it and experiencing it for the first time. And when this generation of games pass, there will be others who couldn't have the chance to play the games we got to. So to preserve the amazing pieces of media that we had the privilege to play, I think ROM should stick around as long as there's people wanting to play retro games. Is it illegal? Yes it is, but until we have a way to experience these childhood classics, hidden gems, and wonderful memory makers at an affordable price, ROMs will have a place in the hearts of gamers who want to turn back the clock one more time, or experience what those before had the chance to experience.